time to talk to each other tonight. So it's going to be a
No
wild
time. No time to prepare for this one. We are live for our 45th episode of Have a Beer. Yes, the year.
45th.
45. Man. How did this happen? What?
It's a weird number, isn't it?
A brimful of Asher is the one that I also Father Ted. I don't know if you ever watched that, but the lead guy,
fantastic.
Dermot Morgan, I feel like I've got that name wrong. He was 45 years old when he died. 45. Also 45 RPM for the speed of a record as well. 45's, when I think about it, 45's got quite a lot of meanings.
It's crazy that you know that, Ian, his age. It's kind of scary. Sounds like we had I'm sure there's huge fans of Father Ted out there, but it sounds like we had a closet Father Ted obsessor on our hands here.
Let's just call it, it's part of my Catholic guilt. Catholics have guilt because they've done very bad things. Killing Father Ted was not one of them.
I heard that's why the Irish get so loose, is because they and then they're all in church on Sunday.
Oh, absolutely. My uncles used to go to church for the last 7 minutes. So they'd turn up, they'd stand at the back, and they'd be the first ones to shake the hand of the priest and say, "Oh, that was a wonderful service. Thanks, Father." It's the way to do it, isn't it? I don't want to be actually hanging around all that time, eating unleavened bread.
Imagine being the first atheist in that time. He's like, you just don't go, and it's great.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of my uncles married, and hold your hat on here, Kappa, married a Protestant. And my uncle, his brother, did not go to the wedding.
Really?
Because Catholicism's so different from Protestantism.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm glad we've started with religion, but it just means
it's just funny because they don't even know what it's about. Then it's not even about God or anything, is it? It's just about your football team, I
think so. Yeah, just about hatred.
Yeah.
Well, and it's in a city of Liverpool. It was as well, where Liverpool is the only city in the UK to have two cathedrals of opposite faith. So it has an Anglican cathedral and a Catholic cathedral, and they face each other, and they're joined by a street called Hope Street. Isn't that nice? So we've got plenty of people in tonight. We've got Bench Pressington. Welcome, Bench. We've got Clint.
Yes.
We've got Michael. We've got Craig. So good. We've got Stuart D here. Having lols with the Mayor of Melbourne. Oh, wow. What? I don't know what that means. Is that surely breaking some sort of lockdown rule?
Bench Pressington. I've been following him on Insta. He's been hoeing into some great beers and great work, mate. I've noticed this, Ian. Pilsners. I had, due to everyone's recommendation in here, I had the Rat and Hund.
Yeah, and excellent.
I remember when you and I, when you gave it to me, I said the best review of it ever, which is the best Peroni you've ever had in your whole life. And I had it the other day, and it is really good. I had it for the Rugby League Grand Final.
Yes.
I enjoyed it immensely. And there's a few other Pilsners coming out as well now that are kind of, I don't know if the Rat and Hund just started set the precedence, but seems to be a lot of those coming out now.
Yeah, I'd recommend I know it's not Pilsner, but Burnley Brewing. Burnley, can't speak. That should not be hard. It's not the most alliterative thing.
Yeah.
Burnley Brewing. They brew something called Hellas, which is bright ale. Fantastic. Really clean, crisp. So good. any time of year, I reckon.
I love that. Mickey, she's on the White Stefana. Now, I've never been able to pronounce this, but I think it's about time, Ian, that I had a few of those, because the Rattenhund, different beer, but it's time I'm like, have something a bit fresh, that's simple and just done well, you know?
Yeah. Oh, like those beers are tremendous, like those German beers. I think we're actually in competition with, there is a concurrent event tonight, Kappa, with the Cool Room podcast, which has been going, I think, since 6:30. The Cool Room podcast is not as merciful as we are. We try to get done before Fleabag starts on ABC, but yes. They'll go for hours, I think. So I think the Mayor of Melbourne has just dropped in because they've got international guests. David from the Cool Room is a counsellor, so I believe gave her the Vine Hen Stefan pack, and she dropped in to say hello. So look, she might drop into this soon as well. I've actually been on for weeks trying to get Sally Cap in here. Just
come on, Sally. To be honest, I don't want to. Not big enough. We've got the host of the Chosen Brew podcast, the host of the Phone Hacks podcast. I was playing to a room of around 70 people last comedy festival. I don't have time for Sally Cap, you know? Like, I want bigger fish. I want to get bigger fish, brother.
I'd quite like Andy Cap on. he was good from the comedy strip. We could get him on.
Yeah, who else are we going to get in? Calvin and Hobbes as well.
Yeah, Noam Chomsky. I'd quite like Noam Chomsky on. And Julian Assange, I think, would be good at guessing years. I think he'd have some good backstories as well.
I think he could guess everything, Julian Assange. Yeah, there's not much he couldn't guess.
Great. Back to religious hatred. Craig P said his grandfather was Catholic, his grandmother was Church of England, and there was a big hoo-ha-ha when they got married. Ooh. The grandfather was basically, bless you, was excommunicated, which is incredible. Craig P, I've got to say, I married a Protestant and I had to move to Australia. So it's all working out well, though. So not been to church for a while, let's say that. You never quite get the incense out your clothes, but you can try. All right, have a beer, guess the year, Kappa. I'm going to fire some clues at you from a particular year in the past by the end of this episode. Playing along at home, everybody, no Googling. Kappa's going to guess within 40 years of the year, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Are you ready?
I've got a Hargraves Hill pale. Love it.
Oh, nice.
Still on my couple of ones I had last week. It was great. And I'm keen to try this kaiju that you guys are talking about. I might have had it already, I think. That's 11. That's 11%. That's a killer. I think I've had it.
Yeah. Woof. Yeah. Oof. Kaiju, anything they do is pretty good. And Kappa, I'm actually drinking. I'm on the Cristiano Ronaldo tonight. Agua. Oof. I'm drinking agua. So I'm drinking it out of a Shepherd's Neame Master Brew Kentish Ale. What is it? Cup. Nonic glass.
Look, I'm not gonna crucify you this time, man. You just have a beer guess a year. I usually, because I try to I try not to drink on a Thursday, but I'm like, I've got to have a beer guess a year tonight. But I'm going to spare you tonight, Ian, because before this I was doing a podcast. That's why we're late. I'm sorry. And I drank a White Claw. So,
is that seltzer?
It's a seltzer.
Oh, yeah. I've never had a seltzer.
I don't mind seltzers. I don't, but because there's this Melbourne brand called Can, C-A-N, fantastic. Really good.
I've never had one, and I still feel that I can, despite never having had one, I still feel okay to criticize them.
Mate, I've had them and I'm still criticizing them. Like, it's terrible.
I imagine, like, it's one of those things. No, sometimes you just know what it's going to taste like before you actually have it.
Yeah,
and I imagine it absolutely fulfills that brief, 100%.
Yeah,
but
mate, I'm all in or nothing. I'm not a Diet Coke kind of guy. I either have Coca-Cola or nothing, or water. I'm not going to go Diet Coke. I'm not going to settle, so it's for those people. You got to go all in. All of our listeners or our watchers tonight, they go all in. 11%, the big boys, don't go halfway.
No.
You're going to drink beer, prepare to get chubby.
And Kappa, we sadly, we were going to meet up and exchange beers, and we didn't get to do it because on Monday when we were supposed to meet up, I shoveled 9 cubic meters of soil out of my garden.
You should have. You actually should have called me to come and help you.
Should have, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
I can work outside with you, mate.
I'll send you the pictures. But anyway, let's get started. Here's the first clue. I'll give you 3 clues to get us started. General Motors in this year produced its 100 million automobile in this year. Also, we also had a Surveyor 7 lands on the moon, and the first class US stamps increased by 1 cent. That doesn't help specify it to a year, but it gives you maybe a ballpark clue of when stamps
sounds
go
like
up.
a crazy year,
by a cent.
100 millionth car, stamps go up a cent. I'm thinking there's a lot of disasters in a lot of years, and it's terrible that you started with such a dour note, Ian, of stamps going up. Like, I think you've really ruined the mood here of the whole thing, and I would just prefer it if you would put disasters like that further down, so we get the laugh up a bit. That's what you do in comedy.
I don't know what the rules are in comedy or in Australia, but with Royal Mail in the UK, Royal Mail have a duty to deliver wherever your address is. So, for example, if you live in the Shetland Islands off the coast of Scotland, which are very remote, there's no trees that grow on the Shetland Islands because it's too windy for a tree to actually.
How the fuck do they build a house there?
Yeah, exactly. So it's crazy, right? But if I send a letter from the very first class letter with a first class stamp on from the very bottom of the country in Cornwall, then the Royal Mail have a duty, and I send it to my friend in the Shetlands. They have a duty to get it to that address. Okay. So it might take 4 trains, 8 trucks, and 2 helicopters to get it to the Shetland Islands, right? And it would cost you the cost of a first class stamp. I remember when I was growing up that the stamp for the first class stamp went from 22 pence to 24 pence. And it was on the news. It was absolute uproar because it had gone up by 2 pence. And the idea that you could send something that could get to the Shetland Islands for 22 pence. I mean, how far would you get if you had to take the letter yourself?
Yeah.
Like, it's so ridiculous. It makes me so incredible.
Is this why you moved to Australia, Ian?
What's that?
Like, that's probably the problem with Australia. We do whinge about a bit of stuff, but also stamps could go up $8 and people be like, I'm just going to send it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
We'll be like, damn it, our construction people can't go to work. Fuck, rallies, all this shit. And then like a guy that doesn't believe in abortion or gay marriage gets voted as the mayor of fucking Sydney or New South Wales or whatever.
Yes.
The premier,
yeah.
We're like, that's politics. You just vote a racist in. You just vote a sexist guy that's Catholic in. That's what you do.
Well, Kappa, I know you can't see the chat at the moment, but it's certainly, I'm getting a bit of stick here. Bench Pressington, quite rightly, picking out, I am la-di-da because I have a yard to dig. Yeah, I understand that. I'll take that on the chin. And also it is. I am very lucky, despite the fact that I've been doing backbreaking work. It's nice work to do. Also, Craig P has said in the Shetlands, no trees, just ponies. That is good. I like the Shetland pony. Quite marvelous. Very small things as well.
Is that what they breed them small so they don't get blown over by the wind? Is that right? Like no other horse could be on that island. They're like, it's too tall, it just gets blown over.
Yeah, I suppose you've got to take into account when you have somebody riding on the back of it. Like you can't have a racehorse, can you?
Because I went to the Patagonia years ago. Sorry, but I went to the Patagonia, and basically, for anyone who hasn't been there, you drive 12 hours of just desert where the wind blows so crazy, or it can be hot or freezing cold. It just it chooses its temperature, and then every town or city is in between mountains that protects it from the wind. But one time I got stuck in a town that had no mountains around it, and I was just blown off the street. Everything was blown off the street. I was like, how did any of these buildings get built? Like, how did anyone ever live here? And why is there a settlement here? There's no river or beach or whatever. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is actually. And the way Melbourne, the way it's designed in the grid system, I find creates a lot of wind tunnels. And when I first arrived in Melbourne, I was walking down Elizabeth Street and Freudian slip there, and the strong gust of wind blew me into a Club XXX. Very.
And it kept blowing you in there every day.
It's really weird. But God, get used to those winds. I had to stop wearing a parachute. So in this year, General Motors, 100 million cars. That's a lot by anyone's estimate. We've also got Leo Fender. He sells Fender guitars to CBS. Seems like a strange a broadcasting company to buy.
TBS.
Fender guitars. But they've certainly done well with the brand. It's still going. That might help date it for some people.
Makes me want to play a guitar. I wish I could play guitar, not to get famous or anything, just to be able to stand somewhere and hold one and play it. Like some of those beautiful it annoys me that I can't even play one note or even look confident on one. It's terrible.
Yeah. It is quite depressing, isn't it? Because you have this, I think everyone has this like romance about being able to just pick up a guitar, and it's like a cool thing, isn't it? But
yeah.
Also in this year, the nighttime version of Hollywood Squares premieres on NBC for the first time. You familiar with Hollywood Squares? So it's like
that's like in the big boxes, right?
Yeah, and it was called, I don't know what it's called in Australia, but Celebrity Squares was another, I think in the UK they called it Celebrity Squares. It hasn't been on TV for ages, but you've basically got like 9 celebrities in a 3x3 box setup, and they zoom in on them and answer questions and all this sort of stuff. It's very good.
Did that get blown over in a cyclone or something like that? Or am I thinking of a Simpsons episode?
Yeah, I think it might be Simpsons.
Okay, because it was high up.
Yeah, presumably it was in a studio, though. It wasn't outdoors. In this year as well, Wilt Chamberlain, the basketball player, he's the first professional basketball player to score 25,000 points. Great player, Wilt Chamberlain. Listeners of the Wheel of Sport might be familiar with Wilt Chamberlain, who gets a little bit of a mention in one of the episodes.
Oh, I heard that's a great podcast.
I believe it's a
first very good podcast run by handsome men.
Yeah, underrated, I reckon. Bench has confirmed it was a Simpsons episode and not a documentary.
That's where I get my history from.
Stuart as well, it was CBS, not TBS, I believe, unless I've done my research incorrectly.
Why does Stuart know all this stuff?
I don't know. It could be
he's
TSB.
The next Julian Assange.
If Stuart D is behind some sort of espionage, that would be fantastic. We'd all be implicated as well, you know. These episodes would be taken as code. Also, the Youth International Party was founded in this year. Now, I'm not 100% sure what the Youth International Party is. It can't be a political party, can it? The Youth International Party, or is it a party internationally with loads of youths, which sounds awful, frankly, or is it a political party, the Youth International? But presumably, you have to wait like 4 or 5 years to get into power, at which point you're not a youth anymore. You're too old, and then you just have to join the International Party. Really don't.
Politics is like mid-40s.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. The NBA as well expands in this year, and it gives licenses to Milwaukee and Phoenix. So they start up in this year, and a couple of interesting things in terms of transport happen. Rotterdam Metro opens for the first time, so that might be an interesting one. A metro opening in European city of Rotterdam for the first time. And an interesting thing in Britain as well happens, which is they try out British Standard Time, which is basically daylight savings for the whole year. Which sounds as good as Brexit, I reckon.
Yeah.
Sounds awful.
Also, what do you do in England? Like, we just, I don't know. It's not like in Australia we get daylight savings. You go for a walk by the beach or whatever, or like you got all this time, you got all this stuff to fill in. You know, there you're just like, well, I'm in the dark. I'm not in the dark for 1 more hour.
Yeah, well, in summer it's great in the north of England, Scotland, because it really doesn't go really dark in the summer.
Yeah,
it can't. It's so good that you like 11 o'clock at night you can still be like fighting or or the recreation, British recreation.
You can still be racist at like in the daylight, you know.
Oh, yeah, look, I wouldn't say the R word is quite xenophobic. I think it's definitely xenophobic.
Sorry.
Couple of other things is the 911 system. Calling 911 for an emergency it opens for the first time in Haleyville, Alabama. I've never really given this thought, Kappa, but what number did you call before 911?
Oh, we always had 000 in Australia.
Well, what happened before 000? Like it was 999 in the UK. You know, the comedian Mark Watson, he said it's easy to remember the emergency number in Australia. It's I thought it was a very good joke.
That is really good. I love that.
You know, if you dial 911 in Australia, it still gets you through to 000.
Yeah.
And if you dial 999 as well, it still gets you through.
Apparently they had some idiots that would do that based on American shows.
Yeah. People panic.
There's the only reason I think of 911 is because I watch The Simpsons again. It's because Homer's got the best line ever, which is, quick, what's a number for 911? Which has got to be one of the best lines in comedy ever written.
It is very good.
But Mark Watson comes close, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think Watson told that joke on Rove, actually.
We never. I was out in the country, so you never really had emergencies out there. Either you would die, or you just get driven to town.
Yeah.
There wasn't an ambulance you could get you or anything.
Yeah, exactly what's going to happen when you call. Well, a couple of, this is weird about this year as well, Kappa. Within like a really short space of time in this year, a lot of things happened at sea. Okay. So a couple of things happened, right? One of the first things, like this didn't happen at sea, but this is gives you an idea of the calamity to come here. So a US B-52 bomber, it crash lands in Greenland. But the key is that it actually has a nuclear bomb on board.
Oh.
Then North Korea sees the USS Pueblo. Now, Pueblo is a spy ship, and it has 83 men on board, all of which are seized or taken prisoner. So, have you ever heard of a spy ship?
No, it can't really get away from anybody, can it?
And 83 blokes on it. Like,
yeah.
You can't, the whole idea of a spy is that you can get lost in the crowd, or like you can jump on the train and then or you just disappear.
Like if you're a spy ship, you really are just a sitting duck. You're a sitting duck. Like you never hear the phrase flying duck.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how much of a coastline have North Korea got. I don't know. I suppose they got a bit of coastline, but it doesn't.
A spy ship? What was it? It must have been dressed as something else, like a trawler or something.
I honestly thought you were going to say it had like a false nose and a mustache. A bowler hat.
It had a flag saying, "Hi, I'm Korean."
Then, Kappa, Israeli submarine, the Dakar, it sinks in the Mediterranean. Sadly, sailors die. Can you guess how many?
No.
You do a routine about some military men. How many?
69.
69 men.
See, you should have said this at the start of the episode, Ian, when we were trying to have funny jokes, right? Instead, you started with that dour stamp thing. And it really brought the mood down. Whereas the death of 69 sailors, now that's funny. 69 sailors drowning in a sun.
I was working on the comedy premise that you have to soften them up before you do the 69 gear. As well, you can't start with the 69 gear. You know that probably through painful experience.
Oh, yeah. Boy, sometimes you can't end with it. Sometimes you can't put it in. Sometimes even in the middle of stuff.
Look, if people haven't saw Nick Kappa live, he does often end with a 69. So, and then what happens is a French submarine disappears in the Mediterranean. So an Israeli submarine sinks, and then a French submarine disappears. 52 members on board are still not accounted for. It's weird that they all happened so close. And can you imagine in the chat now, Kappa, they're talking about the COD Wars? And if you're talking about the COD Wars,
I still don't know what they are, and I've been a part of 3 COD Wars.
Well, if you're talking about the COD Wars, I'll give you this little snippet from this year, which is A fishing trawler from Hull on the northeast coast of England sinks off the Icelandic coast.
Oh, no. Another victim of the Cod War.
I don't know if this was part of the Cod War or just simply misadventure from people from Hull who thought a watery grave was better than life in Hull.
Go back to Hull or the sea.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's do the sea.
A couple of other things as well. Planet of the Apes premieres in New York City. And the BBC, this might be a clue that really helps people out. The BBC broadcast news for the very first time in colour.
Oh, this is a hard one. The colour thing always ruins me.
Now, I believe the BBC were the first broadcasting company in the world to have colour television cameras. Okay. I believe they got 2 before anybody else in the world. And the film Bonnie and Clyde premiered as well. Now, this might help some people. It starred, that film, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. But that premiered in this year. And we also had Nauru. It adopted a constitution and becomes independent from Australia.
Oh, okay.
Haven't heard of it since, but yeah.
Okay, all right.
Also, London Bridge. London Bridge didn't fall down, but it was sold to a US oil company who planned on taking it. They actually transported it to, I think it's Arizona. But I think they thought they were buying...
I did not know this.
So
the London Bridge they got now, that's not original.
No, so there's a bridge. There was a bridge in London called London Bridge, but the bridge you're thinking of is Tower Bridge, the one that opens, and it looks neo-Gothic.
The one at the start of Danger Mouse.
Yeah. Now that's clearly what this oil company thought as well. So somebody sold them London Bridge. Obviously they thought, but London Bridge was quite a modern bridge. So they did move it brick by brick. I think it's one of the greatest cons of all time. It's quite wonderful. Richard Dodd, in this year, he returned a library book to the University of Cincinnati. Now, the library book he returned was that of his great-grandfather, who had taken the book out of the University of Cincinnati's library in 1823. And he returned it in this year.
Hell yeah. Good work, brother. You gotta support the libraries. You gotta do that.
Do you think he would have got fined?
No, I think he would have got a medal.
You know what frustrated me? It didn't say what book it was. That's
probably something boring like the Bible or something. Or the Bible Part 2. And no one knew that it was going. It was like the Bible, the Mid-Testament or something.
The Mid-Testaments. The mid-strength.
Testament 3, back in the hand.
Yeah, mid-strength, only 2 standard drinks. All right. Have we got a ballpark here, Kappa?
Yeah, I think I do. You've done a pretty good job on this one, Ian. I've got to say.
Yeah,
I've left it quite broad.
Yeah, I've got a couple more clues that might kind of zone it in. So we've got the Euston Station was rebuilt and it was reopened or opened. The rebuilt version was opened in this year, Euston Station in London. And Jim Hines in this year becomes the first ever person to run the 100 meters under 10 seconds. So that was a huge watershed moment for the men's 100 meters, and indeed any 100 meters run it on under 10 seconds. People didn't think it was possible. And Arthur Ashe, he becomes the first Black player to be ranked number 1 in tennis.
Right. Wow, I didn't know of Arthur Ashe. Who do you play for? US?
I believe he's from the US. Yeah.
I didn't know this guy.
Yeah, I never heard of him either. He's the first Black player ever to be ranked number 1.
When I used to play tennis at primary school, everyone had a sick racket, like a metal one, like a Prince racket or whatever. And my mum gave me her Yvonne Goolagong commemorative wooden racket. And everybody laughed at me, and I hated it so bad. Now I would kill to use that racket like that. But I was like, it's the daggiest fucking racket ever. It had like a photo of her in the middle, and oh God, it was so... hated it so much.
Were those rackets, was that like ones with they've got a really long...
it had a really long handle.
And then a small head.
Yeah.
And you're playing against some kid whose parents have got a bit of coin, and they've got like a $200 Prince racket.
Yeah. It was just so annoying.
Brutal. Also, Intel, the Intel Corporation was founded in this year in Santa Clara in California.
Oh, okay.
So that's fairly significant. And Iraq adopts a constitution in this year, and Swaziland gains independence from Britain as well in this year. Swaziland, the small country within South Africa.
Okay.
Close borders South Africa, or was within it. Bit like Lesotho, I think. We've also got a couple of other clues to finish off. We've got the Orangeburg Massacre. This is the first time that law enforcement in the US have killed students. Highway patrol officers killed 3 students for demonstrating and injured 27 at South Carolina State University.
Oh, see, 27 is also a funny number.
Yeah, 27 is, yeah.
You know, it's like 69, but you halve that, take a few away. See, why didn't you put this at the start of the episode?
Oh, yeah, 2 plus 7 equals 9.
Yeah, exactly.
And Janis Joplin died at 27. Who else died? Amy Winehouse, 27.
Why didn't you start with this stuff, Ian?
Because they didn't die this year. We've also got NHL, that's the National Hockey League. The NHL forward Bill Masterson, he died 2 days after receiving a head injury whilst playing, and becomes the only death in NHL history from an injury from a game in this year, which is pretty tragic. And we also have the Apple Film Production Limited is founded in this year also.
Oh, is that the Beatles? Apple Music? Then they have Apple Music, and
they had lots of Apple companies. Yeah, this could be one of them.
I wonder if these guys made the Holy Mountain. If this production, Alejandro Jodorowsky, but I think that was only filmed by George. I think. Yeah,
because Apple was also founded. Apple Corporation was founded in this year as well. George later went on to find Handmaid's Tales, I think it was called, which did Life of Brian, Withnail and I. Excellent. Yeah. Great guy, George.
I like if anyone here has got a lot of time and they just want to see some weird shit, watch The Holy Mountain and El Topo. I'm pretty sure they were funded by George. The production quality is amazing. It is the most weirdest bullshit you'll ever watch, but also just worth watching. Just how crazy these films were. You'll never see anything like this again. So wild.
Well, I'm sure people have still got time. I actually booked in the future episodes. We've got 2 more left, I reckon, Kappa, before Victoria opens and people are able to go to venues in real life.
That's the thing, Ian. Do we book something in? Should we try and book in a pub somewhere or a bar?
Yeah, maybe we try, and if we can get somewhere that we can do. Look, it's always risky doing it outside because it might be raining. But if we could do something outside,
we don't even have to do it. We can just all catch up if you like. Whatever you think, guys.
Look, we will discuss it in the Facebook group. Please do add your suggestions in there. But Kappa, this year, so we've got Leo Fender sells Fender guitars. We've got US stamps going up by a cent. We've got Hollywood Squares premiering. We've got Bonnie and Clyde premiering. We've got the NBA allowing Milwaukee and Phoenix to have teams. We've also got loads of submarines going missing or being sunk, a fishing trawler from Hull disappearing as well, Orangeburg Massacre, Rotterdam Metro opened, Planet of the Apes premieres, BBC broadcast the news in colour for the first time, even though nobody's got a colour TV. London Bridge is sold. The 10-second barrier is broken in 100 meters. Intel is found. Iraq get their constitution. Swaziland becomes independence. Lots of things happened in this year. I'm locking your guesses at home. Many have already done it. If you haven't locked it in, get it down.
I could be wrong about this. I've got a feeling that Apple was late 60s, but I've also got a feeling Planet of the Apes, Bonnie and Clyde, that was around 60. But I'm going to go like 1972.
1972, locking it in?
Locking it in.
Well,
that's
1972. We've got a good spread of guesses. We've got Kelv guessed 1988, but that was at the start of the episode before any clues.
Kelv, he's really knocked that kaiju off.
Yeah, we've got Michael.
He doesn't even know what day it is.
1958. Bench, guess 1974. Justine, 1967. Bench changed to 1975. We've got Craig P, 1972, like yourself, Kappa. Daniel went for 1973. Sam Smalley, welcome Sam, 1969. Welcome Daniel as well. Didn't see you at the start. And Michael's gone for 1970. Lots of guesses around the ballpark. 1971, it changed again. Stuart D's gone for 1969. Well,
I was nearly going to go for that because I thought Ian would be trying to steer me. Maybe he threw me a curveball with that thing.
Look, that would be a very cruel thing to do. Stuart D's also suggested Stingrays at Bodriggy would be an ideal location if we could. I don't know if we can sit inside. I don't know what the rules are, but maybe we look at the rules and then we work it out.
I can ask
them. Anyway. All right. The year for this episode, the 45th episode of Have a Beer, guess the year. The year for this episode was, you guessed 1972, Kappa. The year was 1968. 1968 was the year of all these things happened. I tried very hard because there was lots of news in this year particularly about the Beatles going to India. There was also things like Richard Nixon, JFK announcing running for presidency. There was also all Vietnam War was raging as well. So, but you did very, very well to get so close because some of those clues were pretty obscure. So very well played.
Anything Charlton Heston colour TV around there is around, late 60s. But then, Intel, Apple, I don't remember that ever being in that 60s realm. Even though it was 68, you only associate it with the 70s.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those things with this year and the clues I gave, probably looking back on them, some of the things that, Planet of the Apes premieres, but it doesn't become popular for, probably another couple of years. Same with that Apple Corporation, same with Intel and all of those things. It takes probably a couple of years for them all to, gain. And the Orangeburg Massacre, where the highway patrol officers, it was students demonstrating against the Vietnam War, but also there was huge protests and riots because of in this year Martin Luther King was assassinated in this year as well. So lots of civil unrest. Glad all that is over. Seen the back of that in 1968. Never seen it since. So Stuart D was 1 year out, but not the closest. I think Justine was 1967. So you share the honors. I don't think anybody guessed 68 on the button. So that was pretty good, though. Craig P. Planet of the Apes was the 60s. It's one of those things, Planet of the Apes, if you watch it back, it's almost, it's fascinating to watch because you're thinking, how did anyone buy this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, or did Michael guess? I don't know whether, no. Anyway. Oh, Sue's got it right. Of course. I just read that. So Sue's got it right. Fantastic job, 1968. So Kappa, we will sign off in time for Fleabag. We will work out, get in the Facebook group and put some suggestions out there. Stingray, good suggestion in Bodriggy, wherever you can think of a venue. Maybe an inside outdoor sort of scenario. And maybe, as Justine suggested, maybe we could all just meet up for park beers.
Could do that whenever.
We'll work out, we'll do it all within the rules, keep everybody safe. I'm still waiting for my second vaccination, so I'm going to be in for a while. So I can meet up with at least one other person. So Kappa, me and you, maybe on Monday, we'll actually meet and exchange some beers. But otherwise, we will see you all next week for another episode. Kappa will be on the clues of Have a Beer, Yesteryear. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. How do we get out of this? How do we close it? I've closed the window. I really want to get out. Gavin, can you help me? I need to get